Hello, Michelle. Thanks a ton for joining with me on today's podcast. I'm really delighted to have you here on my podcast today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And I would love to tell my viewers that Michelle is a TV producer, script consultant, and executive. And furthermore, like you have curated successful TV shows, British comedy. Those are like Whites, Two Pins of Legwear, and A Packet of Crisps, Bluestone 42. So these are some of the TV shows, sitcoms that you have produced. And I was just checking it on Google, and all of those this shows has like have received tremendous ratings of all these shows are really incredible. So
Oh, thank
take me through that, Michelle. How's your work? What are the pros and cons of it? And tell me about that. I'm completely naive about it.
yeah, well, I've been a TV producer for oh gosh, a long time. Yeah, I've been in the industry for 22 years. And I joined the BBC after I left university, which was a great place to be, particularly back then when the BBC was all in-house and we made shows within the BBC for the BBC. And I worked in the comedy department there. So I started as a runner in the comedy department and then worked my way up to producing, which I started doing maybe 15 years ago. And I was very lucky that there was shows like Two Pints of Lager and a Packet of Crisps, which had run for, I took over on the Series 8. So it was quite a long running show and a really good one to learn on because they could have probably just done it without me anyway. But I joined and learned a lot then of how to produce. So from that, I then went on to develop lots of different comedy programs. At that point, I was purely comedy, sitcom, comedy drama a bit. I mean, White's kind of goes into comedy drama, but it's still an episodic sitcom. And was all for the BBC because it was all in-house. When I left the BBC in 2017, the BBC itself, the department there, had become a department that could sell to other channels. And I joined in independent companies where we pitched to many different broadcasters, and I was more in-house in development, so exec producing, and moved a bit more into the drama space, the YA, and still everything still has a bit of comedy to it. I don't think I could make anything that didn't have comedy. But yeah, that's kind of my main area is always scripted and primarily comedy.
Wow, great. And what does it make to like this shows have tremendous reviews, like I said. But like, are people that much curious about it, like compared to Hollywood's shows, like where they make Friends and this kind of comedy sitcoms? Are they like equally, comparable to those kind of things?
I think, I mean, it's hard to compare those the American shows to the British shows because our viewership just isn't up there in the same way. But I think that there is a real love in the UK for British comedy, like
Okay.
that feels like it's British, and it still travels, like things like The Office, obviously, of
Yeah.
the British Office, I think does well and almost just as well in a different way to the American one. But obviously, that's then gone on and had a life of its own. And there's a lot of historically a lot of British sitcom that travels
Mhm.
really well. And actually, I've seen Two Pints of Lager played all over the world. It does seem to pop up in really peculiar places. But there are certainly some shows historically that do well everywhere, like Mr. Bean and even going back to sort of Only Fools and Horses and things like that. Um, and Monty Python and all of those kind of historically successful British shows. So I think in the UK those shows have done very well. Two Pints of Lager particularly. Whites and Bluestone were kind of they were
Ah,
critically well received, probably not like the viewership that wasn't as high. Bluestone we did three series of, which in the UK is
true.
Whites, we only got one series. There were various reasons why it didn't go again. But it definitely wasn't down to how many people watched it and liked it. There was lots of other reasons at the time. Partly there was a show that was set with set here and partly here and partly in the States, but with Matt LeBlanc. And so even though the viewership was lower, it was Matt LeBlanc. So there are things like that that affect it. Um, but yeah, we still have there is a strong love in the UK for comedy. It's just harder to make at the moment because it doesn't sell as well around the world. It doesn't have as much wider appeal, and it's quite expensive now, and it used to be a bit cheaper. So there's lots of things that are affecting how much we make now. Um, but yes, well loved within the UK, harder to then have the reach that something like Friends does.
That's what I'm saying. And looking at the reviews of it, like I would like to show to my viewers as well. This is the series that our guest Michelle has produced, and nine sitcoms, I guess, nine sitcoms. Sorry, nine seasons of it, and back in 2001. So wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that is one of the most long-running BBC sitcoms. There are a few more since then, but we definitely hit over 100 episodes. So I remember we had a big celebration for it. So yeah, it did really well, and getting a long-running show now is quite hard. So it's nice to have worked on one.
And even Bluestone, I was searching it, and it looks intriguing. It based on a soldier's life, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, I'm super proud of Bluestone. I really love that show. It's one of the only shows that was set in a war that was all like still on. And so when the Afghanistan when our troops withdrew from Afghanistan, that's when we stopped making the show because it just felt like part of its appeal to the audience and to soldiers. It was really important to us that it appealed to soldiers, was that it was something that was happening now and it felt really current. It was a challenging one though, because you're trying to sell a comedy about people being blown up, essentially. And there was a lot of when it was announced, there was a lot of backlash here that was questioning whether it was okay when there, some parents who had lost their children who were soldiers to IEDs questioned it. So we were very careful at going and chatting to those people and just kind of trying to explain what we were trying to do with the show and that it was very much a friend to soldiers. And actually, we got a lot of people on board and a lot of soldiers on our side. And the soldiers are the ones who loved it the most because it was really dark humor, really gallows humor, and very accurate because we had a lot of advice and military advisors who were sat on set with us every day going, yeah, you could say that, and gave us stories that some of which you would think pretty horrible, but actually that is what soldiers get up to. So we tried to include as much as we could of that.
Interesting. And now, when you look back at the things that you have done, how do you feel about it? Like you have curated a lot of successful shows over the period of time, Michelle. So when you look at your work, how do you feel about that?
Oh, incredibly proud. Like I love it. And it's particularly like something like Bluestone has a lot of memories because it was such a hard one to get off the ground. And then we filmed it in South Africa, which was very good. And before I had children. And so I got to spend like 3 or 4 months out in Cape Town and Stellenbosch, and it was just wonderful. So, and they're lots of lifelong friends and all of that. And yeah, I mean, most of the stuff there's nothing that I'd look back on and cringe at because there's definitely shows that I made that weren't necessarily my cup of tea, but I know that they've got an appeal to someone. There were pilots that we made that didn't make it for one reason or another that probably I feel like disappointed that they didn't happen, but mostly I'm really proud of my body of work, and some of it is like 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps here is definitely seen as quite a puerile show. Um, but I loved that. It was right for me at the time, and I'm very proud of it now. It's something I can't watch with my children for many, many years, um, but it's still, yeah, very proud of it, and I feel like I've evolved with my shows. So the last few that I've done have been much more, my sort of age and my time of life. So I've sort of moved up with it, which has been nice.
Wow, fascinating, really. And uh, what's in the pipeline, Michelle? What's next?
So I'm currently script editing on a show, which is a bit different to what I've been doing. It's not producing. It's purely focusing on the scripts. There is another producer on the show, and that's been quite a nice change. And just she has all the stress. I just focus on the script. And that's a Netflix series called Geek Girl.
Mhm.
So that second series has recently been announced, so I can talk about it now. We're filming in a few weeks' time. So I've been script editing on that, which has been really lovely because I watched it go out last year, series one, before I knew anyone involved, and just really loved it as a show. So to be asked to then be involved in shaping the direction of the second series was just really,
Wow. Geek Girl, that's what you said, right? This one is
yeah,
this.
yeah, that's the one, yeah.
Oh, interesting. And Rotten Tomatoes has given 100% to this series.
Nice. That's great. It did very well. It was one of those shows that I don't know how they expect how they expected it to do, but went slightly under the radar and then just exploded. People just really loved it and really took Harriet Manners to heart. And it's a really lovely show. It's about a girl who is in high school as a bit of a geek, but she's spotted as a model based on the writer's own experience. And the central character has autism, but it's not that's not talked about at all, really. There's one kind of reference to it, but partly because Holly, the writer of the book, wrote that character without realizing that she was writing an autistic character because Holly didn't know at the time that she was also autistic. So it's really fascinating that it's really just about somebody living their life and dealing with being a teenager without it having a label of neurodiversity, but that is what's going on. So I think it's quite a special show for that because quite often if there's been shows about autistic characters, that becomes a big part of the story, and it's not that that's not the only thing in their life. So that is what this show does really well, I think.
Wow, great. And you are working on the script for this show, right, Michelle? That's what you said. It's
Yeah.
with.
So I work with the writers. I don't write it. The writers, we sit in a writer's room and we build the story together. So I will offer up ideas for storylines alongside the writers, and then each of the writers goes and writes a script or writes the beat sheet initially, which we then shape and then press go on them writing the scripts. And then as they go through the development process, I'm there to give them feedback on the script along with the producer, and help them sort of answer the notes that the executives have, and also make sure that all of the story continues to make sense because you tend to have a number of writers across a series. So sometimes things can get lost between episodes, and it's my job to make sure it doesn't and just make sure that it all makes sense. Yeah.
And Michelle, as you spoke about Netflix, I would like to know your perspective on it. Like a lot of people, like even Tom Cruise said that my films are meant for the bigger screens. They are not meant for the OTT platforms. And
Yeah.
what I personally feel that eventually OTT platforms will take over cinemas. Like people no
Mm.
longer will go to cinemas to watch films. So I would love to know what's your perspective regarding that.
I think when it comes to films, I get it from his point of view, especially because of the sort of films that he makes. But I think that there will always be an audience for that, for seeing those films in the IMAX or whatever it is. I think it makes it more accessible to have them at home and on Netflix and quickly come out, particularly for somebody with children. I never get to go to the cinema anymore to watch adult stuff. It's always the kids stuff. So I'm very happy to watch it. And also we've got quite a big telly, you can see on a big screen with HD, whatever. So yeah, I don't think I think it's a good thing that Netflix and Amazon and Disney are investing more in straight to TV, or some of them have a limited cinematic release, and that's fine, but getting them to TV quicker, I think, is only a good thing. And they charge you enough for it. So especially like the ones that go straight to Sky, I'm like, bloody hell. I must take my kids to see Minecraft movie and then I'm paying 20 quid for it 2 weeks later.
And speaking of movies and series, Michelle, which are some of the series and movies that are your favorite, personal favorite, that you can watch multiple times?
So, I mean, I obviously watch a lot of comedy, but comedies when I watch comedy, it's always tinged with a little bit of work. I always watch it with that work head on a little bit, so I don't lose myself apart from Friends, which I can lose myself in all the time, and Schitt's Creek. Although I do always watch Schitt's Creek and wish that I'd made Schitt's Creek. Um, but in terms like I watch a bit more kind of drama, to try and just to get myself lost in that. So I watched the latest series of You recently. That was the
Oh,
last
yeah.
thing that I
Hmm.
really um I really love The Boys. I
The
watched
boys.
all of
Oh, wow.
yeah, Amazon. Loved The Boys. Didn't know if I would. My husband watched it with my stepchildren, and I wasn't really that interested because I don't really like superhero stuff. And then I was talking to somebody about something similar, so I thought I'd better watch an episode, and then just watched it all and absolutely loved it. And The Umbrella Academy, which I think is in a similar area of being about superheroes, but not really being about superheroes and being about characters, and so yeah, those are the things I've watched recently. Um, Films wise, I watched quite a lot of the BAFTA nominated films this year because I am a member of BAFTA here, so I can vote, and I only like to vote if I've seen them all. And I really liked Anora. I think that's probably my favorite out of that. And the Succession, that's another one. Kieran Culkin's one that he did with Jesse Eisenberg. I've forgotten what it's called now, but that was a BAFTA nominated one where they go to Poland to look for their sort of roots and stuff. So yeah, those I quite like the quieter sort of art housey films, not the weird ones, just the ones that are very much reliant on the script and the characters and not the effects and the like the superhero angle. The Marvel universe is not really for me. Star Wars isn't really for me. It's more the writing that I like.
Okay. So I guess in a nutshell, what you are saying is like you're more into the script, the plot of the story, rather than see like VFX. That's what you call VFX and
Yeah.
CG, I guess something.
Yeah, I mean, it can have its place, but yeah, I'm always there for character and storytelling, really.
Hmm, intriguing. Nice. And are you into books as well? Like, because behind you, I see a lot of books. So are you into like?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean some of these there's a mixture here of mine and my husband's. All the kind of really old classics tend to be my husband's that he read when he was younger. And I've got a lot of it's like screenwriting books. But yeah, I read a lot more now than I used to, and I listen to a lot of audiobooks because I go running. And so yeah, that's I'm actually listening to It Ends With Us at the minute because I can't bring myself to watch the film because of all of the hoo-ha behind the scenes. So I'm listening to that. And yeah, I found myself going for more challenging books now. And again, it's story, and it's always going to be story and character. I used to read a lot of kind of Harlan Coben and those kind of twisty books, but I find them a lot of those now I find a bit kind of I kind of know I kind of see it coming. I think it's really hard to do a really good thriller as a book where you don't pick up on all of the tips in a way that when you watch a TV show, they can kind of hide it more cleverly. I think that's probably just the stuff that I've read.
Makes sense. And we also get the glimpse of your love for running. I guess behind you there is also a poster that says that keep running, be happy.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that
it's
is.
it has a big part of your life, Michelle.
Yeah, running is a big part of my life. I did the London Marathon actually just this year, a few
Oh,
months ago, which was hard. But yeah, I run regularly, 2 or 3 times a week, and various different sort of fitness things because I just find it's a good way to set my day up.
hmm, makes sense. Wow, great. Even I am also into these things. I'm a yoga trainer and like I've been health conscious for my entire life. So I'm really into
Oh,
like today itself I broke my record. I did 202 push-ups in different reps, but at a time.
wow,
So
that's crazy. Yeah, see, that's my next thing is getting all over strong because I want to have you heard of High Rocks?
high
There's
rocks.
like High Rocks, yeah. It's like an event that's actually all around the world now, but there is one coming up in London where you do there's different levels. It's meant to be very accessible, but you do 8 kilometers of running, but between every kilometer you do like a repeat of something. So burpees or like a ski thing or a pull. Um and yes, it's meant to be like open to all levels of fitness, but I don't think I could do it yet because I think you need a bit more upper body strength than I have. Legs fine, but that's my next challenge. I've got to learn how to do some push-ups and build up a bit.
Interesting. And what sort of diet? Like, are you specific about your diet, Michelle? Or
Um, well, I'm a vegetarian. but
Nice.
it's more, yeah, for ethical stuff really. I am a bit I'm careful of what I eat. I'm not like, I don't follow a specific thing. I'm aware of needing protein, or if I'm running the next day, I'll have carbs, and just generally quite eat quite a lot of plant-based stuff. And don't eat a lot of sugar. Before I did the marathon, I completely cut it out, and that was really good. I do like caffeine though. I mean, I only have like 2 or 3 cups a day, but I don't want to give that up. And I don't drink at all, but that's yeah, been more sort of recent.
And how do you manage all these things? Being a mom, being a working person, being a
Good.
runner. How do
It's
you
a good
manage?
question. It's hard. I do all my running and that before they get up. I get up at sort of 5:30 and do it all then. And so all my exercises out the way, and that sets me up to be a good mum to get them to school. And then I'm working whilst they're at school, and yeah, then a little bit maybe in the evenings if I need to, or at the weekends. So yeah, it's a juggle. But I'm not very good at sitting and relaxing, doing nothing. Like that's not my relaxing is doing something.
Wow.
So it's like I just fill my time really, and that sort of works for me.
Okay, so you never rest on your laurels. You always keep
No,
on.
not really. No, the best I do is a bit of yoga, which I think is like active resting because it forces me to be in my own head for a bit and all of that stuff, which I think is good. But I can't just sit and do that. I'm not very good at meditation. I need yoga is kind of that for me.
Investing. And do you ever take ice baths? Like a lot of people are nowadays into that. Have you ever tried that?
I've tried it. It's horrible. I can't do it. One of my best friends has a cold shower every day. I've tried it. And my stepson does actually. But after, when I was doing my long marathon training, one of my good friends who's a runner was like, you need to start doing the ice thing. So I got back from like a 14-mile run. I was like, okay, I'm going to try it. And I tried to get in, and it was I just hated it so much that I refused to do it. So no, that's not for me.
Okay. Yeah. So
Do you,
sorry.
do you, do you do ice baths?
Yes, I do it. I do it quite often. Like I guess, yeah, I do it like 4 or 5 times in a week.
Wow.
I'm habituated with that. You know, I feel like well, once I do that, I feel completely calm as cucumber kind of thing. So yeah, I tend to do that.
And do you do that after exercise, or is
Yeah.
it just a
No, after rigorous exercise, even if like my exercise is not really up to the mark, then I avoid doing that because I feel like then it would be having like it would have different sort of effects. Yeah, once I do rigorous thing, where workout, then I tend to do it.
amazing? God, that's a lot. Oh, it's not. Yeah, don't like it.
And what about your sleep schedule, Michelle? Do you go to bed early at night? Are you like serious about your sleep? Or...
Yeah, I am because I've had sleep problems in the past, so I'm quite good at like I'll stop having caffeine after like 3 p.m. and when my kids because now I get up at like 5:30, 6 at the latest. I like to be asleep or trying to be asleep by about 10, but I also like to have a read before bed and like all that kind of stuff. But my kids go up to bed at sort of 8 and then turn their lights off at 9. So I've got an hour then. So I don't get to watch a lot in the evening. I think that's the thing that I miss. So I try and sort of fit that in different places. But I like this evening I've got a work event, so I probably won't get to bed till 11, and that will make me tired tomorrow, will mess me up a little bit. But generally, if I'm at home, I go to bed at a decent hour. I try and get for 7 hours.
Makes sense. And are you a more like a morning person? I guess you are a morning person as you wake up
Yeah.
at 6 o'clock. I guess. Yeah, that goes.
Yeah, I've always been a morning person. Even
Oh,
like my university years when if I had late nights, I was still very good at getting up and going to the gym and working. And like, I've always had to work at weekends and stuff when I was studying from the age of kind of 15. So I've just always been used to being able to get up.
hmm. And like you said that you're really into running, Michelle. So how do you, once you do a lot of running, how do you try to rejuvenate yourself, like from the peak?
After running,
Uh, as you don't take
how
ice baths or like, are there any other tactics that you apply?
Um, mainly just I always do a cool down. I have magnesium spray as well for longer runs. But it's mainly stretching, and I do strength training and conditioning in between. And so I think that's what helps me kind of, yeah, keep sort of safe and injury free. But yeah, I think that the magnesium spray does a lot for those longer runs.
Hmm. Makes sense. Well, I always feel, fascinated when I come across a person who is really into health and fitness. And I feel like I can talk with them for a longer period of time. So it's really
Yeah.
amazing. And
Oh,
who are
good.
some of the fitness icons that you admire, or any celebrities in general?
Well, mainly runners really. Like I always get Runners World, and they have a lot of kind of everyday people in there that I love. Like the guy who set up I'm rubbish with names, but the guy who set up the park runs, I just think is incredible because he set that up on just because he was injured and wanted to be involved with the community of running, and so just got like 6 or 7 mates down a park, and then that's built up to a huge phenomenon. I think that's pretty incredible. That just comes from an everyday person loving something and wanting to share
Mm.
it. So yeah, people like that really inspire me. And there's again, can't remember her name, but the amazing woman who was the first to finish the Barkley marathons, which was amazing. So yeah, and again, she's somebody who is I think she's a vet or a doctor and has children, and you just go, how do you do that and run all of these long distances? But again, it's usually getting up at 4 o'clock or something crazy. In fact,
Wow.
she did one of her runs at 1 a.m. up a hill.
And Michelle, a hypothetical question for you. Would you rather be more flexible or more, muscular?
It's a good question. Flexible probably, but I don't think I have that in me as much as I have to be muscular because I did a year of yoga every day and I still couldn't get my feet down on the floor for downward dog. And I just have my limits to
Okay.
flexibility, whereas I think I can build up muscle.
Uh, okay. If you ever, by the way, if you ever need any sort of help with yoga, I'll teach you online. Just drop
Oh,
me a message and I'll help you with that.
oh, that's incredible. Thank you.
Yeah. And uh, what are some of the things like are people in general in the UK, are they health conscious like majority of the people, or they are really into fast food and junk foods?
I think it's a bit of a mix, is the truth. I feel like my stepkids are 18 and their bunch of friends and their sort of generation definitely seem to be more fitness conscious. Like they go to the gym all the time, especially at uni. I get Snapchats from them every day in the gym or playing football. So they are very conscious. Like one of them, they're twin boys. One of them doesn't have any sugar. They don't drink
Wow.
that much. Definitely. Whereas like when I was 18, I mean, didn't I mean I probably ate all right because I've always been quite health conscious that way, but I drunk a lot. I went out, partying a lot. I wasn't as conscious as they are about health in the same way. It was just much more not wanting to put on too much weight. That was all. Whereas they want to be healthy so I think it's sort of changing as like there's a lot of teaching in schools, even for my youngest who's 8, they know about healthy eating and they know about sugar and all of that stuff. But I think there is still a huge part of the population that it's still like we're still really advertised to for not even just the fast food stuff, but and how easy it is to get Deliveroo, but things like meats and stuff like that that are carcinogenic that we're not really, and ultra processed foods, that's what I'm thinking of. There's still a lot of that I don't think there's awareness enough because it's not in the government's interest to tell us.
Yeah.
So I think in that respect there's still a lot of and we are a big drinking nation. Like I think it's quite well known and quite obscene the amount of alcohol that we consume. And I mean, hopefully that is changing, but it is something that I think at government level needs to change because it's still just promoted all the time, everywhere.
Hmm. Makes sense. Uh, all right, Michelle, I guess I won't hold you any longer. Thank you for your valuable time. And I'm
Oh, thank
really
you. It's
looking
a pleasure
forward
to
to our
chat.
next conversation as well. So Till then, keep in touch and take care of yourself.
Thanks very much. It was great to chat. Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.